So I wanted to make a video on the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon and how you can put 40s on it for about $5,000, and why you do not need to re-gear and what kind of lift works really well. And I want to start off with the modifications I did. And actually, before we do that, let's talk about how much this costs. For this particular model, I got a couple options, but end up MSRP was $51,570. You can get them for a little bit less than that. There's some options on here like the bed liner, the automatic transmission. I highly recommend the automatic transmission. This has got an 8-speed. It's the 850 RE. It's found worldwide in vehicles like BMW M5 series. It's in the Hellcat. They've got different torque converters for different horsepower levels and whatnot, but it's a very reliable, world-proven transmission. It's very smooth transition. I'm running 40s with the factory 410 gears that the Rubicon comes with. I'm highly confident these axles are a lot beefier than my previous Rubicon. I used to have a 2008 JK Rubicon. I also had a 2005 TJ Rubicon. I believe it was a 2005. It's been a while. This is my first Jeep truck. It's my first Jeep in the past 8 years. I've been driving a Camaro, so I can tell you, as far as the suspension goes and the handling, I've gotten very comfortable with it in the past 2 days to where I can take corners like I do my Camaro. I was kind of scared at first because it's pretty high. I want to show you the interior real quick. I did get the cloth seating. You can get the leather. Leather's pretty nice. I think for going to the beach or off-roading, this is more ideal because you could take a power washer to it and whatnot. I've got the hardtop group, the premium audio. Talk about things I love and hate. The only thing I hate so far, it does come with factory tint, but the sun's in my eyes right now. The only thing I hate is when you first start the vehicle, you need to press this button. If you don't, what happens is the vehicle is going to shut off whenever you're at a stoplight for a long period of time, and it's a way to save gas. But then when you go press the gas pedal, the starter starts the engine again. Now, some people might like that feature, but I think it's wear and tear on your starter, and it really doesn't save much gas. I haven't noticed a difference. And we'll talk about gas mileage here in a minute. But let's talk about this lift kit. How did I get a lift kit for $900? Let's talk about the fact that the Rubicon comes with Fox shocks. So all you need to do is buy shock extensions. That saved me quite a bit of money, not to mention that Fox shocks are better than the shocks that would have come with the Skyjacker kit. The Skyjacker kit I bought for $900 comes with lower control arms, 4.5-inch coil springs for the front, upper control arms for the rear, which corrects the pinion angle. If you notice, that pinion angle is dead on. It's perfect. Also comes with the rear 3-inch springs. I think they do 3-inch in the rear and 4.5 in the front because once you add a bumper and winch, it levels out. If you notice, it looks pretty level. And once again, the pinion angle on the front is pretty impressive as well. You can see it right here. The kit also came with sway bar extensions. Also came with a new track bar. I'm sorry, the track bar is right here. That's the drag link. New track bar. As you can see, the tires are centered. The kit also came with a track bar relocator for the rear, and it's pretty stout. Pretty stout. You can install this lift in about 5 hours. I hurt my back, so basically what I did is I got the lift installed for free simply by swapping the factory tires, which were pretty wimpy tires. We both got a good deal. I got the kit installed for free, and they got some pretty nice factory wheels from me, which I didn't plan on using again. So that saved me money. The most expensive portion of this installing 40s is the tires, and I chose Cooper's. Now they have some other brands out that are only like $350. These Coopers run $430. I'm running a 17-inch rim. This is a Cooper 40-inch by 1350. Amazing tires. I used to have 37s on my other Rubicon. Very reliable, longevity, good in all terrains. As you can see, the Rubicon model comes with rock guards, and one thing I noticed is that my last Rubicon had the same problem, is I had to cut this rock guard with my reciprocating saw. And the cool thing is the tab that comes here at the end, it just punches right back in. You take it off the piece you cut and punch it back in, and it looks like it was from the factory like this. So if you're hesitant to do any cutting, no worries. It's gonna look good when you're done. And it took me like, what, 2 minutes, I think. So if you want to know a little bit more about the actual power, I believe the engine, the Pentastar V6, I think 285 horsepower. I have a Camaro that's 455 horsepower, and the torque feels pretty similar on the low end. This transmission is remarkable because it was built to, in this case with the torque converter they have, it was designed to tow 7,500 pounds. So this vehicle does not feel like it has 40s, and I don't think there's no reason to re-gear the Rubicon. The Rubicon's got the 4-to-1 gear ratio transfer case, and right now when I'm driving it, I think the PCM is thinking that it's pulling a trailer, so it's actually got a lot of torque right now. And I mean, I literally kind of accidentally peeled out pulling out of one of these driveways earlier. So with like I said, with the RE or the 850 RE transmission and this V6, it does better than my JK ever did, better than my TJ did. And if any of you have ever owned a TJ, you know the Jeep TJs had that 4-liter, was pretty torquey. It was only like 190 horsepower, but real torquey. This feels like that, but it's got more top end also, so it's really nice. I got the spray-in bed liner. I think that's a must. The only option I got on here that I didn't want, but it just happened to be the Jeep was the right price for me, is the option of the LED lighting, which was $1,595. I don't think it's necessary, and in some cases I used to not like it, but I actually kind of like it now. So you'll see it's got the lighting, and I don't know if the tail lights are on, but when you step on the brake pedal, it looks pretty cool. But I don't think it's worth $1,500. I guess that might be different. It's a sharp looking Jeep. Once again, those are Black Rhino wheels. You can look up Black Rhino and pick them out. I'm not going to give you the exact part number. Hopefully none of you are going to copy my ass. I like to be somewhat original. I think this is the first Jeep I've seen like this so far. The bumper I got for Black Friday from, out of all places, 4-wheel parts. They're usually pretty expensive, but if you shop around, I got this for $269, I believe. The winch I got at Harbor Freight. It's a 12,000 pound winch. I actually went there to go buy a 9,000 pound when I was there. This was on sale on Black Friday for $280, I believe it was. That's a bargain. And that Badland winch is actually reputable now. It's up there with Warn. A lot of people might not have ever heard of it, but if you Google and do your research, it's got amazing reviews, longevity, and reliable and whatnot. Once again, Cooper's 40s, $430. The rims, about $230, which something I wanted to mention about running tires this big. On my last Rubicon, it had 37s, and I noticed it was harder to stop because centrifugal force. Well, with this, it's got the larger brakes because it was designed to be able to tow, and this thing stops on a dime with these big ass tires. So the centrifugal force, even though it's greater, these brakes are designed this vehicle thinking that it has a trailer. So it worked out perfect. They did a great job. And once again, I want to reiterate how beefy this is compared to the previous generation. I mean, look at the yoke, the ears on these inner and outer. It's probably still running probably a 1340 U-joint, but I'd rather break a U-joint than to break an ear. So that'd be a lot easier to fix on the trail. The height is perfect. The breakover angle, I haven't measured it yet, but I mean, let's back up and take a look at this. And we'll even do a little test drive here, give you an idea how torquey this thing is. So the premium sound, let's take a listen to this premium sound while we're here.
In the fam, who you know do it better. Yeah, right, no matter what, we airtight. So when you hear
something I want to reiterate is how smooth this Skyjacker kit is. I do not work for Skyjacker. I just bought the kit because it was cheap and it looked beefy. and I was worried. I've heard some people complain, but I've heard people complain about other brands as well. So I literally just burned out of that driveway. So I don't want to be an ass and speed in these people's neighborhood, but this thing gets up. I'm highly impressed. It's faster than any Jeep I've had. Like I said, I've been used to driving a Camaro. I think what might be screwing some people up, if anybody's complaining, is they're probably using a taser. And a taser, I guess it plugs in down here under the dash, and you recalibrate your speedometer and the vehicle shift points. Well, because I haven't done that yet, the vehicle thinks it's towing something, so it's torqued. It's adjusted, whether it's the torque converter or the shift points, it's adjusted to think it's towing something, and it's like really punchy. I mean, it feels really good. Not to mention right now, it's getting about, hypothetically, if I were to drive 75,000 miles, I'm sorry, if I were to drive 100,000 miles, really, this vehicle is only going to show 75,000 miles. So I'm half tempted to not even get the taser. And that's pretty shady of me, but who wouldn't do it, right? So I'm sure once I take it to the dealership, they're probably going to mention, hey, you need to get it calibrated. But I already know how fast I'm going. The ratio changes. You know, I can't just say it's 15 miles an hour faster than what it says, because as you go slower or faster, that ratio changes. But I do know when I'm going 55, I'm actually doing 70. And like I said, the vehicle does not need a gear change. These 410s with this 8-speed transmission is amazing. And what's cool about it is you can go into manual mode and you can decide what you want your gears to be, 1 through 8. So when you're on the highway, and if you hear the transmission shifting back and forth and you just want to stay in a steady range where it's nice and torquey, maybe you want to be in the 6-speed. Very rarely does this go in 8-speed with these tires. You know, so I'm noticing it likes to be in 6 or 7-speed on the highways. And then when I see there's hills and whatnot, I'll just put it in manual and leave it in 6-speed, and you can shift up and down. And it's perfect. And I've heard of people saying that when they towed a trailer, that's what they prefer to do as well. So what else? I can't think of anything else other than this. I'm going to tell you about the stereo. This was a Alpine Premium Yato with the 8.4-inch screen. There's speakers up on the roll bar. There's some on the dash and some down below. I think it sounds pretty decent. A lot of people were wondering, okay, well, how can you put subs in here? Because I do have 2 JL10s that are I want to put in here, and I'm a big believer in JL audio. And I'm going to show you the space behind the seats in the rear. There really is no space, but I did find out just by taking some time to look how I can install these 10s in here if I really want to. Long story short, there's some storage space under the rear seats. Those rear seats fold up, and there's somewhat of a plastic container that's used to hold your tools or whatever you want to store there. And you can, you know, lock your items in there or whatnot, if you want to put your wife's purse in there or whatnot. I'm noticing that it doesn't support the weight of the seats. It's not, so it doesn't even need to be there. Or you could take it out and put something else there. So you'd have a custom made, maybe a fiberglass box that's custom made to fit there, and that's what I'm going to do at some point. But the sound right now is pretty good. I don't see any woofers. I did notice it looks like there's one small subwoofer behind the rear seat, but considering I've been using JLs for the past few years, I just don't consider that a sound system to me. But it does beat my Bose system that's in my Camaro. And let's take a look under the hood here. Let me pull over real quick.
Brass knuckles and flashlights, the heaters and the 2-seaters with 2 meters, senoritas, kiss rings, what you mean?
Once again, when I start the vehicle, I like to press this button. This is the only thing I do not like about the vehicle, because otherwise it just starts and stops. So I've always, as soon as I get in, I've gotten a habit. Like the last Jeep I had, the JK, the windows actually roll down here in the center. Some people think it's because the doors come off. Well, that's not necessarily the case, because there is a wire you have to disconnect. It's pretty easy, because the door does have electric locks, and in this case, this has a mirror you can adjust. So the seats have lumbar support right here. Once again, cloth seats. Let's take a look at this motor. These are much better latches than previous models. Pentastar V6, 3.6 liter. Looks very clean. This has the 240 amp alternator. That's part of the 240 or 24RE, I believe it's 24RE package that comes with the tow package. So that's one thing I had to have, is the tow package and also the bed liner. So that's really the only two things, or three things I wanted: the bed liner, the tow package, and I want to show you something really cool. This tow package comes with multiple prongs. So depending on your setup for your trailer, something really cool about this is when you're in reverse, you can zoom in on your trailer hitch. So that's pretty cool. It worked pretty good today when I went on base, and I was backing up and I was concerned about hitting the vehicle behind me. Once again, this is the 2020 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon, black interior, and just like the previous Rubicons I had, the hard top, the white, it's white inside, which I think is really cool. Speakers in the back, and I did want to show you the compartment behind the passenger's rear seats. By the way, this key is pretty dope. I like this. It's push to start. I forgot to mention that. So I got some shit back here, but so as you can see, not much room back there, but I've got tools and shit in here, but there's room in here, and it goes all the way on the other side. The other side opens up as well. But this is actually big enough. If you were to custom make a box, you could probably put 8s already there, but if you wanted to put your 10s, you're gonna have to build something that protrudes out. Unfortunately, that'll take some leg room. You're gonna notice it's got USBs in the back. It also has a power outlet. They can control the windows from the back. They got their air conditioner back here. Mopar, they've done a good job with adding these. I guess you can attach aftermarket pouches and whatnot. Really clean Alpine system. There's some lights back here I forgot to mention. Some lights back here, so at night it makes a difference. Another cool feature is this has bed lights. You can press right here, and I guess there they go. I think I have them on. Got bed lights back there. Let's try to do this. This side, you can buy one that has a Bluetooth speaker. I did not get that option. I think it's a waste of money, because we can all probably go buy our own Bluetooth speakers for cheap. But it would be a rechargeable one that comes from the factory if you wanted that option. Once again, you can get leather, but you're going to save some money by getting the cloth, and I think this is actually pretty good quality cloth, just like my previous Rubicon. The materials, really good job. It kind of reminds me of the quality that Volvo has. They did a really good job. I'm highly impressed. This is without a doubt the best materials they've used on any Jeep I've ever owned. As far as shifting into four-wheel drive low, I did that the other day for the first time. Keep in mind, I haven't had a chance to take it off-road. Just like previous models, you need to get a rolling start and be in neutral and about 2 to 3 miles per hour, then you can shift it into four-wheel drive low. The Rubicon obviously comes with sway bar disconnect and your front and rear lockers, which is the reason I had to have a Rubicon. For those of you that are Rubicon fans, you know what I'm talking about. Plus the rock track transfer case, which is 4-to-1 gear ratio, is amazing. if you don't want to buy a Rubicon, I suggest you get the Jeep Gladiator Sport that comes with the Max Tow package, because the Max Tow package has the same axles as this Rubicon. They're 410 gears, and they're an inch wider than the regular Gladiators, just like the Rubicon, which are an inch wider as well. Gives it a wider stance, more stability for towing, and I guess that's why they probably did it. I did add some wheel spacers. Funny thing is, I bought all the parts for this before I even bought the Jeep, because I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and it turned out just how I wanted and how I envisioned it. The only thing I think I need to add is probably a new steering dampener. I'm still running the factory one. Surprisingly, I haven't had any death wobble. Keep in mind, it's brand new. These outer C's are pretty damn beefy compared to the previous model. Supposedly the axle tubing is thicker. I never bent my previous model, but I heard a lot of people had bent their axle housing, their housing for their front axle, and you would see the front tire look like it was bending. So hopefully with my wheel spacers, I don't have an issue like that. That's my only concern. But this thing does flex really well. I'll make another video of it flexing. Like I said, the Rubicon has a sway bar disconnect. You'll see the sway bar disconnect motor right here. I would stick with the Fox shocks. So you can buy the Skyjacker kit for like $900 if you opt out of the shocks. And just everything, the tie rod, the drag link, it's so beefy. And for the kit, usually people, when they get death wobble, it's the track arm. This is a pretty stout track arm, and I don't think there's going to be any death wobble anytime soon. If so, I'll buy a new track bar. They're pretty cheap. You can buy a new track bar for like $150 to $200, and then maybe some new bushings for the other components. But this has much longer arms, factory arms, than my previous JK did. So the ride is phenomenal. I love it. And right now I'm kind of overpressured. They put 40 pounds in these tires, and I need to air them down, but I think it'll be even smoother once I do that. But other than that, a Hummer tried to race me the other day, and that's another reason I wanted to get one of these, because people are always trying to race me in the Camaro, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of over that shit. And now people want to race me in this, and I just wanted to get this guy off my ass the other day, and I was on the interstate, and I figured the Humvee was going to beat me, and just to get him off my ass, I went ahead and gave it a shot, and just so he could leave my ass alone. And I was surprised I left his ass in the dust, man. So this thing actually gets up. It's not, it's not a Hellcat by any means, but this will do the job. And I really think, like I said, if you can't afford the Rubicon, you can get the Sport model. Another thing, I paid $5,000 less than what this says. I used to work at a dealership, so I know the hustle, I know the deal. I went there in December of this year, of 2019, because that's when you're going to get the best deals. They're eager. Sales are slower for them. The MSRP was nearly $52,000 for this. I got it for $47,000. I put a pretty significant amount of money down, so I didn't need to purchase gap insurance. So it's all in all, really good deal. If you want to get the manual transmission, that's going to save you $2,000, and the manual transmission is actually geared a little bit lower, which that's kind of crazy because this is already geared pretty low. But I think this automatic transmission is a way to go, especially if you tend to do any rock crawling or any off-roading. There's nothing worse than trying to be on a hill trying to shift. And like I said, this thing's got an amazing torque converter, and the 8-speed is just constantly working to get you in that power band. And they've done a really well job with this vehicle. I did spend an extra $20 a month to get the extended warranty on the electronics portion, just because it's Fiat now. I don't know about their electronics, but the Pentastar V6 is a proven motor through Chrysler, and as well as this 850R transmission. I think it's German made. You can look it up, Wikipedia, Google it. I looked it up, and it's very impressive what kind of vehicles it's in. So I know the powertrain is good, but electronics, I don't know yet, so I don't have any reviews on that. I'm really impressed with the clarity of this backup camera.
Felt stress, felt the hate on my chest as I placed on my vest. What's wrong with the brakes in the LX? Ran straight into a light pole. Just before I got my light stole, my car came to the rescue. I bailed in and said, bless you. But what made me the man you would want to show help to? I proceeded to ask him, and he said, with a passion, I can never watch a soul die. Push the man.
So there are some off-road apps on here, which is pretty cool. Most of it's not really going to apply to now that I modified. Oh, and I meant to mention, now that I modified this vehicle, I have 0 alarm bells going off. Nothing's going on. So this is a perfect lift. It's a 4.5-inch lift in the front and 3-inch in the back. And if you got a winch and bumper, it levels it out. No alarms have gone off because when you get the lift done, the steering wheel is going to be somewhat off, and all you do is you adjust the drag link, and all it is tightening and loosening and sliding it to the left or right until the steering wheel is straight, and then you have it tightened up. And they'll do that for you. If not, you can do it yourself. It's really easy. And that would be the only thing that would cause any alarms to go off if your steering is off, because then the vehicle is going to think that something's wrong, that you're in a spin, or that you're lost control of the vehicle or something. Once again, on Rubicons, they have the sway bar disconnect. That only works in 4-wheel drive low, obviously, because if you were able to use it going fast, you would roll over. So that really makes the ride so much more comfortable, and you can flex the front suspension. The rear of these vehicles, this drives just like the past Jeep I had. As far as it feels like a Jeep, it looks like a Jeep, but it's a pickup. But it's got the, I guess it's got the Dodge 1500 Power Wagon, I think it is, rear suspension, the forearm link and whatnot. So it's a little bit different than the JK and JLs in the rear. But the front is just like a JL, which I didn't know much about JLs. All I know is about JKs and JTs, but supposedly this vehicle, same engine, transmission, and whatnot. I'm not sure if the torque converter's a little different because this has got it's made for towing. So they probably use the 850 RE in the JL and this, but maybe put a different torque converter for this transmission, because it's got a lot of spunk. I'm very, very impressed. But anyways, that's all I can think of. Just like any Jeep, the factory warranty is not that impressive. It's 5-year, 60,000 mile powertrain warranty. So like I said, I extended mine for an extra 20 bucks to bumper for 75,000 miles for like 20 bucks, which is pretty damn cheap. Usually I don't buy warranties because I know that scam with being a previous car sales guy. But I got the guy a bottle of Patron and told him that, he knew I used to do car sales, and I said, look, I'm not buying shit from you. No offense, but just so you're not coming out of this a loser, I'm going to get you a bottle of Patron. And then before I left, he's like, man, just, let me hook you up. And I wasn't believing what he was saying, but once he told me the price, I'm like, that is a damn good deal. So an extra 20 bucks a month gives you some rest assurance, because I don't trust electronic components. My Camaro, the screen went bad within the first year, and fortunately the factory replaced it. And these can cost, $1,000 if not more, for all I know. I remember the Camaro, it seemed like it was like $1,100, and the warranty covered it. So anyways, I'll make some more videos, maybe showing it flex, but I'm not ready to abuse it just yet. I have put about 700 miles on it, and when I first lifted this, because I've been driving a Camaro, it felt really high in the air, but I've already adapted to my muscle memory of how it was driving my previous Rubicon. And I'm so confident in the suspension that when I take corners, it's not swaying. It feels real sturdy, and I've got a much wider track on here. If you look in the mirror, those tires are sticking out pretty good, and that's the only thing I have to really be conscious of, because in parking lots and whatnot. But it's real stable, and it's got plenty of power. So for those of you that are concerned about putting bigger wheels, you can either get the Rubicon like I did with the 410 gears, or you can get a Sport and ask for the ask for the Max Tow package, and basically that gives you the same axles that this has. You just won't have the 4-to-1 gear ratio on the transfer case. You'll have more like, I think, 2.78, I think it is, to 1. But anyways, dual climate control. You've got your garage openers up here, SOS, your common stuff. The top looks really easy to take off. I haven't taken it off yet because it's still pretty cold out, but it will come off at some point, and I'll show you guys. But I hope you enjoyed this video. It's my dream Jeep, and thank you to my wife and kids for not giving me too hard of a time for spending money on this thing, because yeah, anyways, hopefully the red bottoms I got her. Hopefully that makes up for it. So anyways, until then, take care, guys.